Selamat siang. Welcome back to another Bali COVID-19 update. This is for September 15th, 2021. And the question everybody wanted to know about, and I think we all knew the answer, yes, another week of PPKM, another week of restrictions. But the good news is Bali has moved down to level 3. And what about that? So we're down to level 3 according to Pak Luhut, and Pak Luhut was the one who was doing the Monday night announcements this week. And why are we there? He said that we've gone down there because of the improvement in terms of the number of confirmed cases, the number of patients in hospitals, and the number of deaths. And so those have all been brought down, and that's why we're at level 3. And so we are going to stay at level 3 until the 20th next week, when this new set of restrictions expires, and hopefully we will continue to go down to level 2. And what do we need to get to level 2? Well, in order to get to level 2, and level 2 is considered moderate, the number of positive confirmed cases is between 20 and less than 50 per 100,000 population per week. The incidence of hospitalization is between 5 and less than 10 per 100,000 per week, and the death rate is less than 2 people per 100,000 per week. And so that's what we're shooting for now in order to get down to level 2. So we're at level 3. What does that mean for Bali? What's going to change in Bali? Well, this is Monday. Is this Monday? This is Tuesday, and I'm waiting to see what the governor is going to say. We haven't heard about any special changes for Bali, because Bali's always got a little difference between what's going on here and what's going on nationally, and so I'll tack that on to the end. Well, it's Wednesday noon and nothing from the governor, so looks like things are going to go as normal, but you can never tell here in Bali, so we'll see what happens by Sunday. And so let's get on to the numbers. Some good news and a little bit of disappointment. So we're in level 3, and how are numbers today? Well, 247 cases, so there was a jump there after all these days of the numbers going down, down, down. A little bit of a jump, a little higher than average, and so, well, that's nothing to be happy about, but it's not a huge jump. 7-day average is 222, so our numbers today are up 25 over the average. Okay, and what about the deaths? 7-day average for deaths is at 17, and you're going to see our number of deaths yesterday went up as well. And how about all of Indonesia? 4,128 new cases, so good. We're going down, down, down. And in Indonesia, 185,722 people were tested with a 2.22 positivity rate, and the 7-day average was 3.31%. So things are looking good. What about testing in Bali? Well, Bali tested 51,908 people in the last 7 days, and that gave them an achievement rate of 187.45%, and the 7-day positivity rate 3.17. So very good for Bali overall. However, some regencies a little higher, and Bali is way up there. You can see on this chart. Bali's numbers are much higher than most places. And what about our vaccinations? Okay, vaccinations, 3,254,056 first doses. That's 72.9% of the population. Second doses, yes, we made it. 2,258,876, 50.6% of the population. So, half of everybody here has been fully vaxxed. Good news. And yesterday there were 30,469 additional doses. So what about the numbers for yesterday? New positive cases, 247, as I said. Recoveries, 700. So recovery is almost 3 times the new cases, so that's good. Deaths, 22. So we're up over the 7-day average. That's not good. So yesterday was not a good day. And active cases, we're down to 3,401. And on Sunday's numbers, that was 4,319. So that's good. And we have to remember when we're looking at these numbers, so the numbers went up, right? There was 247, but it's the 7-day average that is the important number. And so the 7-day average is continuing to fall. Obviously, yesterday's number is not going to help that, but we're hoping for a better day tomorrow. Let's keep thinking positive. And as yesterday's numbers show, this is just a reminder what the government keeps saying. We have to stay disciplined, we have to stay on course, and we can't get too euphoric that things are looking so good, because you never know what's going on. And so you got to keep wearing the mask, got to social distancing, right? Okay, that's really another question. And get vaccinated. And so, yeah, we've got to keep on going. The numbers are looking good. On Sunday, I said that I would talk about vaccines and vaccinations because there was just too much stuff to do. So let's do vaccines. France sends 358,700 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine to Indonesia. And so those arrived last Friday. And the French embassy said that this was the first shipment of part of 3 million total doses that are going to be sent to Indonesia under the COVAX mechanism. And what does COVAX do? It ensures equitable distribution of the coronavirus vaccines around the world to countries, low and middle income countries, because, well, as you know, the developed countries, they seem to have plenty of vaccine, and so COVAX has been really important for Indonesia. Previously, Indonesia received 500,000 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine from Australia under the bilateral vaccine sharing mechanism. And additionally, the Netherlands, Japan, and British government has also contributed vaccines to Indonesia's supply. So the 500,000 doses that Indonesia received from Australia just recently on September 2nd, that is part of a batch that is going to be sent here under a bilateral agreement, and I've talked about the bilateral agreement before. The plan is for Indonesia to receive 2.5 million doses of the vaccine under this agreement. And here's something I didn't know was happening. The Riau Islands will get 100,000 doses of COVID vaccine from Singapore. And so the provincial government, the Riau provincial government, said that they're going to be given 100,000 doses of the Sinovac type of coronavirus vaccine from the Temasek Foundation in Singapore. And at the end of the month, they are going to receive 100,000 doses. They're currently just waiting for the doses to arrive from China. The governor of the Riau Islands said that he appreciated the vaccine assistance provided by the foundation, and that Singapore has helped the provincial government several times during the pandemic, including provision of mass PCR swab test kits, oxygen tubes, to ventilators, and now vaccine assistance. And so this has been a welcome source of aid. And the governor said that he hopes to achieve 100% vaccination by the end of this year. And more vaccine news. Indonesia gets 9.5 million doses of Sinovac. And so 9.5 million doses arrived on Sunday and Monday. This is the 58th, 59th, and 60th stages, and it has increased the number of vaccines arriving in the country up to 240 million in the form of raw materials and ready-to-use vaccines. And so, great news about the vaccines, and vaccinations continue ongoing. You heard in the number part, we are now at 50% in Bali, and so that's great. Let's take a look at the next story. Indonesia eases COVID-19 restrictions in Bali, borders to be tightened. So according to Pak Luhut, things are loosening up here. We're at level 3, and we've already talked about this. A lot of tourist sites are open now, but you have to have your phone. And from what I've heard, even though last time I was talking about a report that you were going to need to show your PeduliLingdungi app to get into restaurants, that's not happening, but it is happening in tourist spots. Pak Lu had said that the rapidly improving situation with COVID-19 is going even faster than the government had expected. However, the level of social mobility restrictions will be evaluated on a weekly basis. International flights are still not allowed in Bali. You have to go into Jakarta, for example, and there's a few other airports you could do it. You have to undergo 8-day quarantine, 3 PCR tests before you're allowed to take a domestic flight into Bali. According to Pak Luhut, firm action is going to be taken against those who go against the restrictions, try to sneak out around them. Indonesia's health minister said that the borders are going to be tightened up in order to protect against any new variants entering Indonesia. He said the government has decided to strengthen the country's entry points by equipping and tightening the quarantine process at sea, land, and air. And why is this? Well, let's take a look at the next story. Ministry of Health supervises immigrants from 7 countries to prevent new variants of COVID. The Ministry of Health stated that it's tightening supervision of Indonesians and foreigners arriving in Indonesia at airports and ports from 7 countries in order to prevent the entry of new variants like the Mu variant. According to Dr. Nadia Tarmizi, the government is focusing on monitoring Indonesian citizens and foreigners who come from 7 countries. Those are Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, Turkey, the UAE, South Korea, Japan, and Singapore. Additionally, Dr. Nadia said, the government's also monitoring citizens coming from Colombia, Ecuador, and countries that have announced that they have detected the Mu variant. According to data from the Ministry of Health, 2.24% of Indonesians who return from overseas trips are identified as positive, even though the test results were negative in the country that they were leaving from. The 2.24% is for Indonesians. For foreigners coming in, it's 0.83%, and they are tested positive on arrival in Indonesia, even though they're tested negative when they've left. So this is one of the reasons why quarantine is still going on, because people get tested negative and they come in here and there's a chance that they're going to be positive, that they've already been infected, and so that's the quarantine. 8 days, I don't know why it's 8 days and not 14 days. But, so we have people coming in, you test negative and then you've already been infected, and so that positive result doesn't show up for a few days. And so that's the situation. Indonesia is being really careful now. Our numbers going down, down, down. Everything's looking really good. They want to make sure that they're not going to get lax, and the government has said this over and over again over the last month as our numbers have been falling regularly and rapidly. Last video I said that I was going to talk about school, and so here is an article. Bali Ombudsman, malls allowed, offline schools allowed too. I think that should be, offline schools should be allowed too. The head of the Indonesian Ombudsman for Bali representative, Pak Umar, said that when shopping malls are open, schools should be open too. And when I say open, I mean open for face-to-face learning. He said, well, schools are more important than malls. Yes, they are. And we have to prepare the next generation. And we should be doing that with face-to-face schooling, not online schooling. According to him, the malls are open, but they're not profitable for everybody. But face-to-face schooling should be open because they're more important than malls. And he mentions being able to study, shop at the canteen, buy school equipment. And so he said benefits are for everybody, not just for a few. So there's an opinion from the Bali Ombudsman, and one that, of course, I strongly agree with. And what about this next article? Denpasar city government is ready to carry out face-to-face schools. All right. According to the Denpasar mayor, I Gusti Nora Jaya Nagara, Denpasar is ready to open up schools. He said the achievement of the first stage of vaccination for adolescents 12 to 17 has reached 104%. And the second vaccine is around 96%. Simulations and school readiness have been completed, and so we're ready to carry out face-to-face education, he said. He added that students in the 12 to 17-year-old group have been vaccinated, so have educators and other staff at the school, and everything has been set up and is ready to go. He said that of a targeted 67,000 students, 70,000 of the first vaccine have been achieved, or about 104%, while the second vaccine is 63,000, or about 96%. Further, he said the last 4% will be pursued in order to reach 100%. He's waiting for directives from the central government, and he hopes that school will be open for junior high and high school students. Elementary students, of course, can't be vaccinated, and so he said they're going to continue to be taught through the online learning, which is disappointing. And previously, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology said that the implementation of face-to-face learning was limited to areas where restrictions on community activities, PPKM, were applied for areas 1 to 3, and so we are in level 3 now. So does this mean that we can start opening the schools? One of the conditions is that educators have had both vaccinations and the schools have met the requirements of preparation for sanitation and hygiene facilities, medical equipment in the form of measuring body temperatures, the use of masks, and health protocols having been prepared in order to meet. And so a lot of schools were doing this a long time ago. And there were a lot of tests being run up here, test cases, and I talked about that, wow, I don't even remember how long ago. It was a long time ago. And so I'm hoping that with level 3 being here now, we're going to get the schools open soon. And I'm going to be following this really closely. And just one more thing about education here. So I've talked about, there are two stories here. One about the Ombudsman wanting to open up now, and the Denpasar says they're ready to go. An article just came out this morning in the Jakarta Post taking a negative approach to this, saying we're not ready to open up yet for a number of different reasons. And it's a pretty interesting article, and it got me thinking about what can happen when we open up. But I'm not going to go into it now because I want to talk about it in detail, and so I'm going to save that for Wednesday. But yeah, there's something on the other side of the opening up schools argument. The other day I was talking about the weather and how it looked like the rainy season was coming, and you know, I am really hot and sweaty. It is very humid today. Today is a beautiful day, more or less. It's not raining. Yesterday was really dark, the day before was dark, the day before was pouring. And so this article, global warming pushes rainy season to come earlier in Indonesia. BMKG, that's the Indonesian Meteorological Agency. According to a statement by the head of BMKG, the rainy season is coming earlier to Indonesia. Almost 50% of the country's total 342 seasonal zones are going to experience the wet season starting now, September to October. Whoa, 50%, and it looks like we're going to be one of those. She said that the early rainy season is due to warmer sea temperatures, warmer sea surface temperatures. They're 29 degrees, usually 26 degrees, she said. And according to data, the concentration of atmospheric carbon dioxide, CO2, in the archipelago has reached 415 parts per million. The global average is 410. And it's been predicted that the temperature on Indonesia's major islands is going to rise by 3 degrees by the end of the 21st century, or 2100, which is another 79 years. Whoa, goes up 3 degrees, well, game over. And she used as an example, the air temperatures increased by 1 degree, she said, compared to that before the 1900 Industrial Revolution, and that 1 degree has made the climate chaotic, she said. And, well, we're getting a lot of chaotic weather here. There was some houses destroyed over that way, over west of us, during this last bout of bad weather, and so that's becoming more frequent here, something we didn't hear about in the old days. And time for a wrap-up. And we're going to do a short one today. I wanted to keep these at 25 to 30 minutes, but they've been getting longer and longer and longer, so let's make this one short. So let's get to the wrap-up. What have we got? Okay, the restrictions have been extended for another week. It was expected. We've gone down to level 3. That's what was hoped for. And so that's good news. Numbers are going down. Percentages are going down. The 7-day rates are going down. Everything's looking good. Tourist spots are opening up here. That's great too. What about opening Bali? Are we going to open Bali yet? Okay, Bali, opening Bali is not directly related to the PPKM. So, don't know. There's been no word about that other than, well, the words that the plans I've been talking about, but nothing in the last few days. A quick update here, and I'm going to put this in the wrap-up instead of in a separate section because I'm just going to go over this really quickly. And so I said that there hasn't been any talk about opening up from the government other than Pak Sandiaga Uno the other day and Pak Luhut. Well, here, exclusive, Indonesia aims to reopen to foreigners in November, Minister. So according to our health minister, Indonesia plans to start opening its borders in November once the 70% target population has received at least 1 vaccine dose. And the health minister, Pak Budi, said he's taking cues from the strategy adopted by the UK, which he said prioritized rolling out first doses, and that had resulted in lower rate of hospital admissions and fatalities. And so he said, if we can vaccinate 70% of the population, the target population is 208 million, and we can hit 140 to 150 million, 70%, then we can gradually start to reopen. And he said, in response to when do you think that could be, he said, I think it can be in November. Now, according to this article in Reuters, it says this is the first time the senior Indonesian minister has committed publicly to a dateline for reopening. Well, we've had ministers talk about June and July. Remember, it was going to be June or July, definitely, and we didn't. So this really isn't the first time. And Pak Budi said that once we hit the 70% mark, then restrictions will be, and this is 70% for 2 doses, restrictions will be lightened up even more. Now, in order to reach the 70% by November, to open up in November, we would have to do almost 2 million doses, or actually a little more than 2 million doses a day. Right now we're doing about 1 million, so we've got to double that. Now, if you remember a few videos ago, I was talking about the target for August had been 2 million a day. Well, we didn't get there. We just barely made 1 million. So, can we do 2 million a day? Are we going to just jump up all of a sudden? I don't want to sound negative at this point, but boy, I don't know. I'm kind of doubtful about that. Pak Budi said that this can be done by getting the police and the army and midwives, bidans, to help with this. He said there's a network of about 300,000 bidans that can be brought into play to help vaccinate people in order to get that 2 million a day, in order to get up to the 70% mark so that we can open up. Okay, does this look realistic? My personal opinion, no. It doesn't. Do I hope it is? Yes, definitely. Are we going to open in November? I'm still saying I can't see this. I'm hoping for December. I know a lot of people, though, are talking about next year now. People making guesses about when, saying in April or May or June or whenever. I hope we get open by December, but I don't know. So this is Pak Booty anyway. I wanted to throw this in because I saw this, and I imagine some other people will see this as well. Some viewers here, and that's that 2 million a day mark. And so are we going to make 2 million a day? I don't know. It's a big jump from right now. So far we haven't been able to get even close to that, so we'll see what happens. And so we don't know what kind of visas are going to be available. I'm not sure about that too. What about the B211s? People keep asking about the B211s. No idea about the B211s. There's been no word. Whoever tells you that, if you see that agents are saying we can give you visas now, the government hasn't said anything yet. And so you need to chill on that. For those of you that are here or are going to be coming here and have been vaccinated overseas, and you want to get your proof into the Indonesian PeduliLingdungi app, I'm going to put a link right here, and you can try that and see if that works and let me know. I'm not sure if you can do that from overseas. You may have to be here in Indonesia. So if you try that and it works, put a comment below, okay? There's been a lot of feedback and chatter on social media about the segment that I did the other day about the no backpackers. Boy, people are really upset. Foreigners are really upset about this. Well, the government hasn't responded to any of this yet, and so waiting to see if there's going to be some kind of a clarification. As you might guess, people are upset. They're talking about what backpackers bring, and the backpackers aren't necessarily poor, and that in the long run they may actually spend more than quality tourists. So there's a lot of different issues here. Less tourists in general, in my opinion, is better. Less tourists better. Why? Because they put less stress on the infrastructure here, which is just not developed to have 10 million, 15 million people coming into this small island. But as someone who basically lives a backpacker lifestyle, when I'm out traveling, I don't usually stay in, if you saw my Ahmed video, you saw we stayed at a nice 3-star hotel. I don't usually stay in places like that. I usually stay in homestays when I'm out traveling around the island, and so those people are going to be hurt if the backpackers, however we define the backpackers, if the backpackers are not welcome, yeah, that's going to hurt those people. But the government, Pak Luhut, didn't say that they're not going to be allowed in. He said that their priority is being given to quality people first, not backpackers. And so this is part of the opening up of Bali, getting ready to do that. And so the focus is on quality tourists and smaller numbers. And once we get open, I think there's not going to be a problem with backpackers. There's not going to be I cannot see there being a ban on backpackers, that some kind of, you have to have a certain income level or look a certain way. So I wouldn't get overly concerned about that yet, but I can see the government focusing on quality tourists as we open up. And I talked about the travel bubbles and plans that Pak Sandiaga Uno has and Pak Luhut has, and so we'll see what that. And so that is about it for today. Are we going to open? We don't know. Numbers getting better? Yes, they are. That doesn't mean we're going to open up. Let's hope that we do. And I'd like to see the schools open up, but this article that I read today made me think twice about that again. Well, I do want to see them open up, but I want to see them open up safely. And so, wherever you are, wear a mask, follow protocols, do whatever you need to do so that we can get this thing under control globally. If you're here in Bali, do your bit here, wear a mask, And if you need to get your foreign vaccinations on the PeduliLingdungi app, don't forget, look for the link in the description below and let me know how that works. Okay, take care, be safe, be kind to someone today. See you next time.